Our thyroid plays a huge role in metabolism and weight management. As you'd expect, then many health problems emerge if our thyroid stops working properly. Now this video investigates what is actually the best diet for an underactive thyroid, splitting the fact from the fiction. Now, alongside insulin and cortisol, thyroid hormones are a driving factor behind metabolic rate and weight management. The studies show that at the very least 3.7% of American adults have an underactive thyroid, the majority of which are women, which is a rate that's likely similar in other developed countries like here in Australia. Now, rates are on the rise, as are those selling supplements and giving misleading dietary advice. So I thought I'd just spend some time with you here quickly to explore the facts. The thyroid is a butterfly-shaped gland on the front of your throat. It produces two different thyroid hormones, known as T4 and T3 for short, which are necessary to send instructions to every single cell in your body. So without these hormones, many metabolic processes break down. Now, an underactive thyroid, or hypothyroid, in a medical context, refers to when the gland doesn't produce enough thyroid hormones. Now, left untreated, it will lead to a host of health problems, including weight gain, hair loss, fatigue, poor memory, and feeling unusually cold is quite common as well. If you want further details, you can see them on the Diet vs. Disease site. Now, food on its own cannot cure or independently treat a diagnosed case of hypothyroidism. Hormone replacement therapy with a prescription medication such as LT4, or otherwise known as Synthroid, is necessary to restore thyroid function first. But in saying that, if you have an underlying nutrient deficiency or food intolerance that remains untreated, LT4 becomes like a band-aid that doesn't treat the root problem, and that's why diet is so important here. It's also important to note that if you use LT4, take it before or well outside of meal times, absorption of the drug is greatly reduced if consumed alongside food, especially soy, high fiber foods, and coffee too. Let's first look at iodine and thyroid function. Now, iodine is an essential trace element that our thyroid gland requires to produce thyroid hormones. So for that reason, if you have a deficiency in iodine, it can lead to an underactive thyroid. Now, a lack of iodine is rarely the cause of an underactive thyroid in developed countries because it's really abundant in our food supply. But nevertheless, including iodine-rich foods in your diet is a good idea to be on the safe side. So navy beans, like baked beans, potatoes, eggs, cow's milk, and iodized salt, which is salt with added iodine, are great food sources of iodine, as in are rich sources of iodine, although the levels do depend on iodine content in the soil. And seafood is also very rich in iodine because they can concentrate iodine from seawater. Now note that if you have Hashimoto's, then speak with your doctor before increasing iodine intake. In certain circumstances, an increase in iodine can actually irritate the thyroid. The World Health Organization deems a population iodine deficient if urine concentration levels are less than 100 micrograms per litre. Now, most developed nations are well above this level. In fact, more than 100 countries, I think it is, have adopted mandatory iodization of all food-grade salt and bread. Now, this is why iodine-related hypothyroidism is really uncommon in westernized countries, and why it's highly likely you already consume sufficient amounts of iodine. Supplemental iodine is actually not warranted for the general public and has been shown to cause further thyroid dysfunction in many instances. The exception to this rule is if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Now, iodine requirements increase by more than 60% at these times because the developing fetus or the infant requires iodine as well. So women who fall into this category should definitely be supplementing with iodine, which is actually what the World Health Organization recommends. Now, supplemental selenium is also not warranted. There's this theory that low selenium levels contribute to hypothyroidism through different mechanisms related to iodine, and therefore people believe that supplementing selenium would then be protective. But there are known risks of selenium supplementation, including digestive issues, hair loss, fatigue, irritability. It may even greatly increase the risk of prostate cancer in. And looking at studies, a 2013 Cochrane review of the research concluded evidence is lacking to definitively support or refute the use of selenium supplements. Now, if you consider that there's known risks and side effects using selenium supplements, then the risks probably outweigh the benefits at this stage. Additionally, those with a low iodine status who supplement selenium may in fact aggravate their thyroid. So for this reason, it's best to stick with selenium-rich foods instead, like Brazil nuts, mushrooms, meat, and fish, which they're far less potent than supplements, but still good sources of selenium. Now, goitrogens are naturally occurring substances that can potentially inhibit thyroid production. Vegetables from the cruciferous family are known goitrogens. They include things like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, bok choy, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, and more. Now, in theory, eating these vegetables would aggravate an underactive thyroid and should be avoided. But this is only the case if you're iodine deficient or you consume ridiculously large quantities. Raw cabbage was very problematic in rats when it made up a whopping 33% of their diet. And one lady also managed to put herself into a coma by eating up to 1.5 kilos of bok choy per day. So assuming you don't eat phenomenal amounts of raw cruciferous vegetables like that, you're most likely safe. They're so nutrient dense that you don't really want to cut them out of your diet if you don't have to. Frequent intake will only aggravate issues if your iodine intake is poor or you have goiter. Gluten is a protein found in grain and wheat that is not well digested by some people. I'm sure you've heard of it. Numerous studies show a strong link between gluten intolerance or celiac disease and hypothyroidism. So for those intolerant to gluten, it's thought their immune system confuses components of gluten with thyroid tissue, and then the immune system then mistakenly attacks and damages the thyroid gland, which is characteristic of what's called Hashimoto's disease. Research actually suggests that around 16% of those with celiac disease have these antibodies that mistakenly attack the thyroid. Now, going by this theory, an individual with Hashimoto's will not improve unless gluten is removed from the diet. Now, many studies have found that a gluten-free diet is beneficial, but to be honest, there are many studies that found no improvement at all. So it would be reaching to say that gluten definitely aggravates an underactive thyroid, and at the same time it could very well play a part. The honest truth is we don't know, okay? So therefore, if you have an underactive thyroid, it's important to get tested for celiac disease and gluten sensitivity to really find out what's going on. If you have a family history of autoimmune disease or you just want to play it extra safe, then eliminate gluten from your diet. And in gluten-containing foods, they don't really offer you any nutrients that you can't get from other food sources anyway. If you don't have a gluten intolerance and you don't feel any different on a gluten-free diet, then it's likely not a problem. So just weigh up the social aspects versus the health aspects and go from there. I'd personally just have gluten on the odd occasion as a treat, or like birthdays and such. Up to you. So I hope you found this helpful. I've got loads more information on the topic if you want to click the link, particularly on why desiccated natural thyroid is not better than synthetic. I look at a thyroid diet for weight loss, as well as a thyroid diet plan that kind of summarizes what I've covered today. Loads of scientific references can also be found in the original article. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them below in the comment section. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video and are looking for more ways to take back control of your health, then you can subscribe to the Diet vs Disease YouTube channel, and you can also check out the freebie I have for you at dietversusdisease.org. So until next time, here's to honest and hype-free health advice. See ya.